So the time is here. It's 4 p.m. UTC, 5 p.m. Central European time where I am at. And I'm not sure what time is over there at your guys' place, but I guess it's early.
It's over here. I'm currently in Scotland, and it's still 4 p.m. So it's very dark. It's very dark indeed, but 4 p.m. still.
Oh yeah, it's pitch black here too.
It is bright and sunny.
It's bright and sunny. I'm jealous.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in America.
Yeah. So let's get going with this little AMA session. What is this? The third one, I believe, from our end. And everybody's in the audience right now, and also for you guys who are going to listen to the recording later on, welcome. We have Boaz and Milan from the Orca team visiting us. It's going to be a fun event here. We're going to talk about the decentralized exchanges, what that is all about, and how they view MSOL, the different NFTs Orca have, and so on. It's going to be an interesting episode. And we will do this for about 1 hour, where the first 30 minutes, me and the guys here from Orca will talk a little bit about what I just mentioned, like their DEX and MSOL and so on. And then the last 30 minutes, we'll do the actual AMA part of this event. And in between there, somewhere in between like the first 30 minutes and the second 30 minutes, we're going to do the contests. And the contests there's two of them. One for marinators. So you have to have the marinator role to participate in one of them. And the other contest is for everybody. So the marinator related contest, it's a lottery based upon emojis. So we're going to kick that off at about the 30-minute mark. And everybody who has the marinator role will just share a emoji in the chat. That means that you will participate in a lottery. And the winner of this lottery will receive Orca, you guys brought some NFT, right? Maybe that would be the one. So
yeah, indeed.
There will be an NFT there involved for marinators. And then the second contest is the best question asked to the Orca guys. So the Orca guys will pick the question they thought was the best one. And that person will win 100 Marinade tokens. So with all of that said, welcome, Boaz and Milan. I'm really glad you could take your time to do this with us.
Oh, it's great to be here. Thanks for having us.
Likewise.
Cheers.
Thank you, Sam.
So we met in Lisbon, me and Milan at least. Boaz, you're a bit newer to the Orca team, but as it goes for Lisbon, it was really fun to meet in real life and like get a face and talk in real life with you guys. We had fun time at the party as well. We hosted. I remember that. I was quite drunk. I hope I did a good impression.
No, you didn't seem it, so it's okay.
Okay, perfect.
But no, it was fun. I think out of like the whole Solana ecosystem, you guys are one of the best projects to work with, just in terms of professionalism, like knowledge of crypto and the ecosystem. So it was good to hang with your team.
Oh, thanks for that, man. And it goes both ways, actually. It's very smooth. There's no friction at all working with you guys. And I think what you guys are doing is very interesting. In particular, like the social responsibility you guys take with the charity efforts, which we will talk a little bit about more later. But first of all, I think everybody's very impressed with Orca. Like the UX and the product you guys have built is amazing. Top DEX on Salon for sure. And but I'm very intrigued to understand like where did the Orca idea come from, and just like naming it Orca is also an interesting aspect I'd like to understand a bit better. But like, where did this idea come from at start?
Milan, you're the veteran at Orca, so I'll let you answer that question.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll start with the name because I think that's a lot simpler story. So essentially, Grace, her moniker is Ori. When she was a child, she really loved orca whales. It was her favorite animal. So when she decided to start building a brand for a DEX, she basically just picked orcas and ran with it. And I think it's worked out pretty well. In terms of the origin story, so Grace and Yutar are the two co-founders of Orca, and they met about a couple of years ago, and they were initially working on this savings account on Ethereum. So essentially, you could deposit like USDC, and then you would earn yield on it, and it would act as a savings account through a smart contract. What they quickly realized after building that out within like a month or two was that the gas fees on ETH were a little bit too high to act as a savings account. So they started looking at alternatives. They found Solana and then got a grant from the Solana Foundation pretty much like 13 months ago, and then launched Orca a few months later. And essentially the idea with an AMM was that it essentially acts like a way for a normal user to earn yield. So if you look at what crypto is basically doing, it's basically getting rid of a ton of intermediaries within the traditional financial system. So an AMM is an automated market maker. And what you're essentially doing is you're taking on some of the risk that a market maker would take on, but you're also earning that yield and that return that market maker would do. So I think my personal view on AMMs is that very, very long term, it will act like a savings account for certain assets, which it'll basically just generate you yield. Smart contracts will be proven out and known to not have bugs in a few years. So that's basically my view in terms of like how AMMs and savings contracts work together.
Yeah, the AMM has totally revolutionized the way we look at crypto, right? And there's so much more to it as well getting developed too. Like I think the AMMs was like DeFi 1.0, and then there's been talk about DeFi 2.0 as well. And when it comes to the 2.0 aspect of things, that has a lot to do with like bonding and so on. Is that something that you guys at Orca have you guys been entertaining the idea of like bonding and those kind of products?
Actually, Seb, I'd be interested in your thoughts on this because with MSOL, you're uniquely connected to the Solana ecosystem in general. And I'd be interested to know where you think it's going. Just in terms of the new applications that are going to get built, are you free to, you're free to give up some of the goodies on where you think Solana's going?
Oh, that is some taekwondo right there, man, directing the question right back at me. Where's the jiu-jitsu they do that in? But yeah, I think the Solana speed creates a lot of possibilities of introducing like working financial products from legacy to what we're doing here in the crypto space. Yeah. So I think the bonding thing is just an indication of this. It's a pretty hyped aspect. Many times I see the bonding as like an extended token sale as well. But with so early days, so it's difficult to say where it will go, but it's definitely, a really good sign for the Solana DeFi ecosystem. And I think most projects out there are like, looking at the bonding and other kinds of things with a magnifying glass. And I think like this new thing, like what is it? People are talking about DeFi 3.0 with like covered calls and so on. It's quite interesting. But when it comes to this, you guys at Orca, what's your take on like DeFi 2.0? Is that something that is empowering Orca?
Certainly. Well, I think DeFi just in general, especially in Solana, is obviously very good for Orca. In terms of where things are going, we do have some interesting things developed, especially with things like whirlpools that we have to make things more efficient ultimately on our DEX. In terms of where things are going, though, the speed with which the entire crypto ecosystem moves is such that in 2 years' time, trying to imagine what DeFi is going to look like, what the most popular product is going to be, it's really, and in then 3 years' time, right? What would that look like? This ecosystem moves so fast, it evolves so fast that your sense of time and what you can expect is completely skewed. It's not like TradFi at all. In fact, it's not like anything. It stands entirely by itself. I have a theory that it's the fact that the internet doesn't sleep is key to how the growth is so accelerated. That's one of like that. Just because the internet's always online, so the market never closes, right? And then of course you get all the bots and whatever. And there's so much automation, obviously, because it's all software. But yeah, in terms of what we've got at Orca, we're obviously moving one step at a time, but we are definitely moving. We're moving forward very fast. I think whirlpools is a really cool thing that in Solana is you're not seeing a huge amount of application. Well, not a huge amount of application, but there's not a huge amount of utilization of concentrated liquidity, and that's something that we're really excited to bring to Solana in a big way. And then from there, I've no doubt that we'll be looking to further steps. Milan, have you got any observations you'd like to share?
Yeah, just to add to kind of what you were saying and what Seb was asking around the different strategies that you can now have for LP providers, liquidity providers. I think it's really interesting because like this was the first iteration, which is can you make sure that liquidity provision works for everyone. And now people are coming out with all of these cool things that you can build on top, whether it's bonding or it's covered calls that basically hedge your risk to reduce the amount of impermanent loss. And I think from the Orca perspective, we're definitely interested in all of that. I think it's very useful for a ton of the advanced users. But at the same time, Orca is really meant to be for everyone and to be really simple to use, and so simple that even a beginner can use it, or even my mom can use it. So I think, as Boaz was talking about, essentially we're coming out with whirlpools, which are a new version of our AMM contract, and they will be significantly more capital efficient. And I think after we get those out and make sure it works really well, it should be in actually the next month or two. No definite timeline, but keep an eye out. I think a lot of people can leverage those contracts and build on top of it to do options and a bunch of different derivatives, and pretty much build whatever they want on top of that core primitive.
Yeah, I do look forward to the whirlpools myself. As I was reading the roadmap update on your blog, and I shared for the audience. I shared the link to Orca's roadmap in the chat here, connected to the AMA. And so it's a really interesting aspect. But when it comes to the roadmap, I can see that the Orcanauts, they're like furthest away, kind of, but that was already launched, right? So roadmap-wise, is this structured in like a step-by-step thing, or how?
No, I can answer that. Yeah, in terms of, it's not in chronological order, as you wisely point out, Seb. So Orcanauts was something we teased at the very end, because Orcanauts was something we were keeping very much secret at the time, that we were working on an NFT project. So we wanted to keep that very much under wraps. But of course, we have launched Orcanauts, so it's not chronological order. This, our roadmap, it's just effectively what to expect over the entire winter season. These are all the things that we're planning on doing. And yeah, the whirlpools is one of the top priorities that we've got at the moment.
Cool. And also, you guys mentioned the users and how to build like your DEX that's like suitable for everybody who's just a beginner, and also all the advanced users. And I think that from my perspective, as I'm using Orca myself, I'm one of your users. I think you guys have a pretty cool take on like how we created your DEX, because it strikes me as it's a really good balance where you court both like the regular user and also the power users. And like, how do you guys perceive this balance from your perspective? Because there is a lot of DEXs that focuses only on the big liquidity providers,
right.
But you guys don't seem to do that. It's very interesting. Do you have any comments?
Yeah, well, actually, funnily enough, that's how I ended up with Orca, actually, in the first place. So I joined the Orca core team relatively recently. And what brought me to Orca in the first place was actually just seeing the logo. It was on Twitter, as is, with so many things these days, you just see it on Twitter and it's like, oh, what's that? And the logo really appealed to me. You've got that very tasteful shade of yellow and this really cute Orca in it. I was like, oh, what's that? And I'd used DEXs before, and here we have this DEX on Solana. Oh, very interesting. Open it up, and it was when I opened it up, I connected my wallet, and I started using it a bit. It was just so it was so intuitive, it was so easy to use, it was so fun to use as well. There's a certain level of, I wouldn't say addictive, but it really is an enjoyable DEX to use. And I was like, wow, this is great. I want to get involved with this. And luckily, Milan was looking around for some people to help out with the core team, and I was lucky enough to join the Orca team. But yeah, for me, the experience of using Orca or acquiring, if you want to acquire tokens or you want to be an LP, it feels very rewarding and it feels very enjoyable, and that was what led me ultimately to Orca. So I started as a user, now a member of the Orca pod.
I like that story, because that's kind of how I became part of Marinade as well.
That's cool.
That's really cool. Came from the community. That's really awesome. Well, it says a lot then about your approach then, and you're courting like everybody in that sense.
Yeah. It's like one of those things that could only happen in crypto, I think, which I think is great.
I think so. I think it's a crypto specific thing, to be honest. So it's pretty awesome. And then you do not only good stuff for regular users. One thing that I really enjoy about Orca, and actually one of the reasons why I continue to use Orca instead of other DEXs, is that you guys take a lot of social responsibility, and you've been very clear with that. You deal with charities and you do like donations. Part of was 75% of the proceeds from the Orcanaut sales went to charities and so on. So what made you guys take that direction on things. Because I really like that. I think it's important that it's done too little in the crypto space, and you guys are definitely leading the charge there. So what made you guys focus on this, though?
Yeah, so Ori and Utar, the two co-founders of Orca, believe very much in taking social responsibility when you're an innovator. So here we are in crypto, we're in DeFi, and vast fortunes are being created very, very quickly in crypto, and of course it's very volatile. So vast fortunes often go down as well. But just in terms of this space, there's something of a gold rush in crypto, and it has been for several years. And if you are part of that and you are facilitating this new ecosystem, you're building the gold mines, as it were. You do have a social responsibility when you're an entrepreneur in that space, and so thanks to DeFi, thanks to the manner in which smart contracts can be constructed, it is possible for every trade on Orca to a portion of the revenues, every single trade that gets executed, to go towards a charity, and we indeed allowed our users to vote on that charity. So it's Ocean Conservancy, very much fitting with the Orca and the nautical theme. Which focuses very much on ensuring and working to help clean the oceans. There's plenty of junk out there, plenty of things polluting the oceans, and it is possible through DeFi to do this. And so Ori and Utar made that decision, and it's something our users can be very proud of. And funnily enough, Seb, I think it ties in a little with what I believe are your views when it comes to using MSOL. So it's not quite the same thing, but when you're using MSOL and you're helping facilitate the MSOL ecosystem, you are in a way you're doing a virtuous act in that you are making Solana more decentralized. So it's one of those things where you can marry both the ergonomics, the utility of DeFi, with at the same time doing a good thing in general, sort of the individual part having an impact on the whole. So it's obviously it's not quite the same thing, but it is possible in crypto and in DeFi to marry social responsibility with innovation, and we're very proud to be doing that, and we hope other projects will follow that too.
Yeah, actually, I was thinking about that. I was like, okay, it's something for the greater good. It's kind of like MSOL, and then you just said it. So you guys have MSOL pairs. You're part of the decentralization movement, so to say, as well, on top of the like other social responsibilities you guys are taking. But one thing connected to like the whole charity aspect of things that I'm very interested to hear about is how do charities deal with crypto? Because back in the days, this was like 2016 or 17, when like browser mining, like cloud mining in that sense, worked still and wasn't exploited by all the hackers.
Right.
I was involved with a charity project based on this, but it was almost impossible to get charities to accept crypto. That kind of was a big bottleneck for us, which led the project to not work out. But these days, how does charities in general view crypto? From your perspective, that is.
Yeah, Milan, I think I'll let you handle this because you've been more closely connected to this from before I joined.
Yeah, for sure. So basically, we did get in touch with that charity, and I think charities don't really view crypto in a negative or positive light. I think it's basically capital to help them achieve their mission, and they're okay with accepting donors from anywhere, regardless. I think for us and the way that we've done it, just in terms of operationally and to make sure that as we build out the Orca governance, it's visible to the entire community that this donation is being tracked and then actually donated and given to the cause. We're working with this organization called every.org. And I guess in crypto parlance, it's basically an aggregator for many, many nonprofits. So you can go on there and find a cause and then donate to them, and they'll take care of kind of the compliance and the conversion of the crypto and kind of tracking of it. So that's how we're doing it operational.
Oh, okay. That's really convenient because that did not exist a couple of years ago.
Yeah, exactly. No, they made it much easier. I think it can be even easier in the future, though. Like I don't see. Yeah.
Yeah, I think everybody is like developing different gateways for cryptos. Everybody wants to tap into the success train of cryptocurrencies, I think. But that's really cool. As I said, like I really enjoy that you guys are taking this stance regarding social responsibility and also cleaning up the oceans, man. That's super important with all the plastic pollution. It's like probably the biggest environmental issues, in my opinion, right now. But okay, back to crypto, from from charities back to crypto. And you guys have a thing there on your DEX called double dip pools. And I like that because we at Marinade, we usually use like the double dip comment because of, MSOL. You can, get yield of that and then use it in DeFi and get more yield. So double dip, yeah. But what is double dip for you guys? Is it just taking, 2 dips in the swimming pool, or what is it?
Yeah, well, I guess we're kind of mixing our metaphors somewhat with double dip for Marinade and then double dip for Orca. But yeah, and double dip in general is just one of the well, it's not just one. It's a very cool feature that we have within our DEX that allows for enhanced yields. Milan, would you like to take it away with exactly how double dipping works?
Yeah, and as Seb was talking about double dips and plus the MSOL dip, I think the MSOL pools on Orca would be quadruple dip essentially.
Thoroughly dipped.
But basically, yeah, exactly. So basically, what they are, they're liquidity pools, just like a normal AMM pool, except that in terms of incentives, they're receiving Orca rewards as well as the partner project rewards. So in this case, Marinade. So if you LP into, for example, MSOL Sol or MSOL USDC or MSOL Wormhole ETH, you will actually earn Orca rewards as well as the MSOL rewards, as well as the trading fees that go against that pool, and then I guess the staking rewards from holding the MSOL itself.
All right. And I
think yeah, so I think a lot of people wonder kind of how these yields come about and how they're sustainable. And I think conceptually, one of the neat parts is if you actually just break down AMM into, it's an automated market maker. And when you're usually in traditional finance trying to build liquidity for a new pair or a new token that's just launched, you would pay a market maker or lend them a certain amount of tokens. And essentially, it's an opportunity cost of having those tokens locked up with that market maker, and they actually earn some portion of that. And what's happening through AMMs is you're basically taking that yield and you're giving it to the community and saying that for as an incentive to deposit into these pools, we're going to give you these extra rewards.
That's a good take on it. I think. I think it's difficult for many new users in the DeFi ecosystem to understand like where the actual yield comes from. Well, what does it mean really? So thanks for that take on it. When I'm looking, sorry.
Oh no, I was like, in this sense, it is like purely disintermediation of that central party that would normally do market making.
Yeah, it's just empowering the user, like sharing the majority of the good profits to the users instead of taking it yourself, like the banks do it, right? They take 99.9 for themselves, and then like, hey, put your money in the savings account, you get 0.5 interest. Well, okay, that's really cool. And as you were speaking, I did take a peek on your website and I looked at the different polls, and I'm seeing some really not pretty, like very decent APRs over there. And so when it comes to the APR discussion, many people, they think it's a little bit of misleading to present like APRs in the way we usually do it in the DeFi ecosystem. But how would you explain to a new user what the APR means and like how one should position oneself? Is that something that will stay forever, or how does APR really work? The percentages.
Okay, that's it's not a tricky question. There's just a couple different pieces there. So essentially, the APR is based on what is the T-bill in that pool, and then what are the incentives or the return rate of all the different fees that you're earning or rewards from that pool. So for example, if you take MSOL USDC, there are people trading against this pool. It has like 150 million in liquidity in there, and you'll actually earn the 30 bips of trading fees that are going through every trade. So that will contribute one portion of the APR. The second portion is basically Orca rewards. So we have Aquafarm rotations every 2 weeks, and we will reallocate Orca rewards. And kind of on the topic of MSOL, we've been generally reallocating more and more towards MSOL to push the transition towards all SOL getting staked. So you'll get a portion of Orca rewards that's based on kind of how much Orca is getting emitted and then what the price of Orca is. You'll also earn Marinade rewards. Again, same thing. So based on the price of Marinade and then how much is getting emitted. Yeah, so that's essentially the three components of APR. So you have the trading fees, you have reward token number one and reward token number two. It is very dependent based on two main things, which are the TVL in that pool. So as the TVL increases, if the amount of rewards is not increasing, obviously the APR would come down a bit. And then also the prices of the tokens that are getting rewarded.
Cool, thanks for that explanation. That was very clear. Yeah, the MSOL thing, we had a pretty interesting ride together there in the beginning of the fall this year with you introducing MSOL, and that kind of created a pretty substantial spike in your TVL. And like with that said, like how do you already mentioned quite clearly the way you see MSOL that is kind of part of decentralizing and securing the Solana network. But when it comes to trading on a DEX, what is an important aspect of MSOL to keep in mind, in your opinion, when it comes to just general trading? Is it, it could be anything really, but your perspective on it?
Well, of course, you'd be looking for what kind of yields that you can get from said trading if you are if you want to be a liquidity provider. And Orca is thankfully a very attractive place to do that. Though I say that as a biased member of the Orca team. But yeah, I think that's what we'd start with. Milan, where would you go from there?
Yes, I think MSOL, essentially your guys' goal is basically to give it as many use cases, if not more, than Solana in the ecosystem. So I think right now there's probably two ones that suck up the majority of MSOL. And one is either an AMM, so providing liquidity and then earning rewards on it. And the other one would be probably borrow lending platforms. So providing it to either Port Finance or Solon and then earning interest on that. I think those are the two things. I think longer term, and let me know, Seb, if you guys agree, but basically people will have the opportunity to trade more and more with MSOL. So instead of using the base pair of Solana and kind of trading in and out of Sol to USDC or to Orca or to Marinade, you would actually use the MSOL base pair and pretty much use that for everything.
Yeah, that's the goal, I think. I mean, using MSOL is, like we touched upon several times, is both directly, but perhaps more indirectly, securing Solana, right? So we want to see all Sol being MSOL in that sense.
Yep.
And also, like, my question came also from the perspective of like trading versus like DeFi, because MSOL is super popular in DeFi layer strategies and so on, but not many perhaps have noticed that you can actually trade with MSOL instead of Sol. Are you guys seeing like an increase of awareness regarding this on your end?
Yeah, actually, definitely in like the past few months since we launched those pools. One, it's definitely increased the TVL of Orca a ton and increased the number of users by supporting MSOL. But also just, it seems like organically more and more people are holding MSOL. They're willing to use it in different ways. So if you actually look at the numbers for the past 8 weeks, like the trading volume has been getting more and more competitive with just the Solana base pair, which is impressive for the amount of Solana that's out there in the ecosystem versus the amount of MSOL.
Yeah, I like that. I like that indeed.
Yeah, it's a bit like to carry on with the chef metaphor, I guess. It's a bit like MSOL is eating the Solana ecosystem to some degree. Seb, I'd be curious to know your thoughts on that. With you think all Sol should be MSOL, right? Are there any? Do you think there'll be some holdouts who would be very much against that in the Solana ecosystem?
I don't think so, really. I think we're still quite early days when it comes to MSOL and what we want to accomplish with it. So a lot to do with that is, I think it has to do with education and just making people aware of what MSOL actually is and what it stands for, and also how it really empowers the Solana network. Like we mentioned, it decentralizes Solana, secures Solana, but also more importantly, or maybe not more importantly, but an aspect that is usually forgotten in this kind of discussions is that MSOL also, as we discussed regarding your TVL, it really helps the Solana DeFi ecosystem grow as well, which I personally think is important too. So that's my take on it, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's all about creating awareness and educating people. And with that said, I don't know if we talked about it or I saw it somewhere. Honestly, I can't recall where I got it from, but you guys are creating some kind of like DeFi Academy or DEX Academy on your end? Is that correct?
Oh yes, yeah. So on our roadmap, which I believe you shared in the AMA chat, if you scroll down, you will find there is an entry for what's called Orca for everyone. So further to our mission to make Orca, to make the Solana ecosystem accessible to everybody through our DEX. Obviously similar to what you're describing, Seb, with MSOL, where you're trying to educate people on what it is, why it's good, why they should use it, or why they may be interested in using it. Orca for Everyone is just an introductory series for somebody who has never used DeFi before, but is interested in it, and they want to get started. So it's a little series that we're doing, and we shall be publishing it in the near future. So if any of our listeners here are tuned into our Twitter account, they will get an update on that in the very near future. We shall be launching that, and yes, it's an introductory series, just saying, how do you get started with number one, with crypto. So obviously you need an account with the CEX, and then of course you need a wallet, and then you can plug it into Orca, and then you can use it to make your first swap. So yeah, it's the first step towards getting into DeFi for somebody who isn't familiar with it. So if anybody listening, I'm sure you'll maybe have friends or maybe family members who are interested in this whole crypto thing, this whole DeFi thing, and maybe you're the person that they turn to ask about it because you're the one that's well known for that, for example. Well, this would be the kind of article which we think would be ideal for sharing with how to get started.
Nice. I will be able to share this to my grandmother then.
Exactly.
Nice. I was about to say my mom, but I actually got her into DeFi already. She's
Very
like yield
impressive.
farming with MSOL. Well, that's really cool. Yeah, oh, really? Awesome. But I think the educational aspect is something of high importance, because that's part of the. I think that's the direction everybody has to take if we were really on board, like a billion people or whatever it is that Anatol is talking about. So that's really cool.
I just wanted to add something to it. One, we're really happy to have Boaz on the team because he's a very clear writer, very entertaining. And I think the articles that you'll see coming out will be really well written. And I think you'll actually just enjoy the read while learning things. But in terms of we're starting with very introductory. So how do you get fiat into the crypto ecosystem? And then what do you do with that to get into the Solana ecosystem? I think longer term, especially when we launch whirlpools, it's a much more complicated product in terms of the risk associated with it and how to use it. So the idea here is that even though our UI will try to make it as simple as possible, similar to the current Orca version, there probably is more education needed for when you add more advanced features like concentrated liquidity. So we're hoping that this type of series will basically be a fun and entertaining way for people to learn, especially the more complicated aspects.
Yeah, there's a thin line ultimately between making something really easy to use and ensuring that it is then safely used, and that's something that we're trying to sort of toe in between, and hopefully which we will accomplish. Ultimately, everyone who is a liquidity provider needs to know what they're doing. Of course, you don't want people taking risk when they don't know they're taking any risk, and that's something we want to make sure that our users are fully aware of.
That's good. So I'll really look forward to that. I can probably, share it to people I know, and so make sure you hit me up when that is out, and we might help you with a retweet or something like that as well. I think it's important with educating all our users on what's going on in the backend. And also, don't get stuck in advanced terminology. If my grandma gonna read it, she's gonna get lost after a second.
Yeah, you don't want that jargon in there. Using lots and lots of acronyms and things like that.
Yeah. But cool. We're getting close to the third, or close. We are past the 30-minute mark, and there's a lot of other things I would like to bring up, but due to our time limit here, we'll have to move forward to the first contest. And the first contest is for Marinators only, for those who have the Marinator role. And if you don't have the Marinator role, you have to go to the Verify MND channel and the MDAO access section in our Discord to get the role. And the winners, or the winner of this little contest, will receive what was it? Milan and Boss, was it like a starfish? The starfish NFTs?
Yes, indeed, a starfish collectible, as we like to say on Orca, and this is our community collectible. It's very, very cute, and and we shall be giving one of them away to one of the best questions that we receive. I'll debate. Me and Milan will debate over which was the best question. Maybe we'll have different opinions, but I'm sure we'll get to an answer in the end.
Okay. I was about to say that we're gonna give it to one of the Marinators, but we'll save it that one for the best question. I will just ship that the one who wins this kind of lottery we're gonna do now, the one that you guys will win 100 Marinade tokens. So all of you who have the Marinade role, listen up now. You just do the following: just share the Orca emoji in the chat. When you share the emoji, it means that you have a lottery ticket, and then once we conclude this AMA, we're going to go through everybody who shared this emoji in the chat. There's some emojis are popping in right now. And then we'll spin the wheel of names and see who the crypto gods thinks deserves the 100 Marinade tokens today. So as the Orca emoji is piling in, gosh, I love that logo type. It's really good.
That's great, isn't it?
So as these are piling in, we can look at the questions above and find some interesting things. But is it something that I missed to bring up that you guys would like to make everybody aware of as well? Because there's so much happening on your end that I know of. So
yeah, we could speak for quite a long time, couldn't we, Seb? I mean, ultimately, but we're not going to be able to cover everything.
But
Milan, was there something?
It's like I need to eat dinner.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll do another one of these in the future. But Milan, is there anything in particular that of our core priorities that you wanted to share that we haven't quite gotten around to yet?
I think we lost Milan there for a second. Let me just try to invite him in to the invite to speak. There we go. Milan, you're back.
Yep, we're back. Sorry, I clicked the on a different computer.
Oh, okay.
Is there anything that we missed talking about?
Something important.
No, but I think everyone does love rates. So I will blatantly show that I believe that Orca probably has the best rates on MSOL across the Solana ecosystem. Maybe you'll find it somewhere else, but from what I can tell in terms of the big pools, like generally LPing on Orca does have the better returns right now. So definitely give it a try if you haven't tried it.
I can not to be too biased, but I can confirm that the rates are really good for MSOL, and kind of abusing that myself. So check out the APRs and the rates over there when it comes to the MSOL pairs. It's quite attractive, and compare it with the other DeFi platforms out there, and I'm sure that you guys are going to find some interesting use cases for MSOL when it comes to providing liquidity. That is something that, don't miss out on that. These opportunities, they don't stay for that long when it comes to liquidity providing and so on. So, but first come, first serve, kind of. Or am I totally off here, guys?
I'll let Milan. Sorry, I was just slightly distracted there by Insania in the chat, who is trying to get 3 votes in for the lottery by posting three Orcas. Very noble indeed. But I'm afraid it won't work. And Chain guys for just posting a massive one. Sorry, it's just 1 vote.
There's plenty of Orcas now in the chat there. So let's move on then to the questions. We have about 20 minutes left here now. So let's see what we got here. Okay, Prodromo, my man. Like you always drop some really good questions. We're gonna go with your question first. To honor your skills to pay the bills. I'm gonna post it, guys. I'm gonna post the question in the chat, link to it. In case I read it like a retard, you will at least see what's written there. The question is as follows: how are you going to support the token value long term with continuous emissions? And I suppose it's talking about Orca token here. Are you planning to implement a rebuy or a burn program?
I'll let Milan handle this one because I imagine that he has had to counter this question many times in the past.
No, it's a really good question. So basically, I mean, step number one in terms of just any token price is build a really killer product and get that product into more and more users' hands. So I think that's always going to be our top priority, to make Orca the best AMM on Solana, eventually, hopefully, the best AMM across all of crypto in terms of usability. And then as the Solana ecosystem grows, as more users come into it, basically capturing those users and having them use the DEX. Because for us, essentially, the North Star metric would be trading volume rather than TVL, because trading volume really shows that people organically are using this product and they want to continue using that product. And long term, as the emissions taper off into a few years down the line, the one thing that will sustain a decentralized exchange are the trading fees that go through that protocol. So definitely users is number one. I think in terms of the buyback and the items around tokenomics, we've made a post on Medium for about treasury staking. And I think in general, that is the direction that we will go. I think you'll definitely hear more about this in the next 3 to 6 months as we launch the next version of the product and then continue building out governance. But yeah, essentially, I think nothing is off the table at the moment. So buyback and burn is an interesting proposal, but I'll post that link to the treasury staking. Essentially, a lot of the yield will be generated through the trading fees, and we'll work on different ways for users to stake and earn those trading fees that are currently going to the Orca treasury.
Cool. Is it the article from September about staking?
I think October 31st. Let me drop it in right now.
Oh yeah, there we go. Future of Orca treasury.
So I just put it in the chat.
Awesome.
It has a lot of the learnings from the first one, but essentially we did staking an experiment for about 6 weeks. We learned a lot. And then I think in the next few months, we'll basically take those learnings and start building out the next version of that.
Cool. Interesting. Healthy approach as well. Personally, I like what I'm hearing. It's important not to stress about these aspects to create a healthy and a resilient setup for the token. So next question then, guys. And I posted the link to the question in the chat. And this is from Renera. Okay, I can't say the name. I'm sorry. But so the question is as follows. Orca is very easy and fun to use. The interface is really clear and that is appreciated. But do you have an advanced version in mind to take the product to the traders niche from the Orca's perspective?
This is a very good question. Thank you for that. I think, was it Renirterus?
You said it much better than me.
It's always funny with usernames, right? When there's no spaces and things like that. Very good question indeed. Thank you, Renirterus. Just in general, our idea is, again, I don't think we're biting off more than we can chew, but the plan is still to keep everything within the same interface ultimately, but to allow enough depth and complexity for those who really want that, integrated into it. So we'll probably see this. You'll see a better idea of this when Whirlpools arrives, because Whirlpools allow for concentrated liquidity, where you can customize, the trading ranges that you want to provide liquidity for. And of course, we have been speaking to some very large traders with what exactly they want from what is it they want from a DEX ultimately, and what are the kind of tools that they're after. So we don't want to sort of partition it. So there's Orca Pro, certainly not at the moment. We are trying to keep things within the same ecosystem. So Orca is ultimately for everyone. There isn't this is Orca for the user who doesn't require a lot of complexity, and then there's another Orca for the professional user. We are trying to keep that all together and make sure that Orca is just for everyone.
Cool.
Yeah, and on the trading side, just quickly on the trading side, because I think on the liquidity provision side, you'll definitely see kind of more advanced strategies coming with Whirlpools, even though it'll still be pretty simple to use in my opinion, but we'll see as it gets out there in users' hands. From the trader side, we definitely hear you. I think we've definitely gotten a lot of feedback that traders want stop losses, limit orders, different types of transaction history, and a bunch of different features. So one, if you have a bunch of suggestions, definitely drop it in our Discord, and we definitely read all of them and consider all of them. But two, I think right now we definitely want to focus more on the simplicity of it. And I think longer term, other projects are doing a good job at building different dashboards and ways to look at your trading history and place different types of order types through their own platform. So I think in general, if we can keep Orca simple and make it kind of the liquidity backbone as an AMM, other folks will build on top of it and give you all of that advanced functionality for the users that want to.
That's cool. I like that approach. It's more like welcoming, or I don't know what word to choose, but welcoming to people to collaborate with you guys, and perhaps something you can connect to a DAO. Are you guys planning a DAO, by the way? This is a random question from me, but or how does it look like DAO wise from your? What's your take on DAOs?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess all governance is a DAO. Any governance system would be a DAO, and definitely something that's top of mind. I think you'll hear a lot more from us in the first quarter. We're building it kind of behind the scenes and thinking through all the different considerations, but there will be Orca governance. There will be different ways for everyone to participate in it. And yeah, keep an eye out in the next 6 months, I think.
Cool. All right, so that was an awesome answer from you guys to that question. I learned a lot from that myself. So we have the third question coming up then, and I wrote the link in the chat. And this one is a juicy question, and it is as follows from Blue Senate. Do you think aggregators such as Jupiter Protocol are hurting Orca? And this fine gentleman says he has the experience of Orca not being the top pick in Jupiter when you want to do a trade. I have a different perspective. I kind of pretty often see Orca as the top pick there. But so the follow-up question to if aggregators are hurting Orca is, will the Whirlpool address this? If so, how? And I think that would be an interesting question myself.
I would say this is me in my own personal capacity. In short, yes. However, I shall defer to Milan here, because in terms of the integrations with aggregators like Jupiter, I think it's much more Milan's domain.
Yeah, for sure. So basically, this is a really good question, and something that we've been keeping tabs on, and also talking with the Jupiter team a lot. I think things like aggregators like Jupiter are definitely good for the ecosystem, and I think that is the direction that the general ecosystem will go. Similar to if you look at Ethereum and kind of 1inch or Matcha, folks will use aggregators a lot. I think our goal is to basically try building the best liquidity, and then all of those aggregators will route through Orca. So yeah, I think 100%. I think on some pairs, it used to route a lot more. In the past couple of weeks, has changed, and we're definitely working on that. But I do think that whirlpools are kind of the solution to a lot of the capital efficiency that we have with an AMM. So essentially, if you look at Uniswap V3 versus Uniswap V2, when you push all of that liquidity towards the center of that curve, it is an actual 5 or 10x increase in efficiency. So we'll see, and we'll see kind of how much they love this product and the usage of it. But
Milan, did you say 5 to 10x increase in efficiency?
Yeah, if you look at concentrated liquidity versus kind of just standard AMM pool, I think 5x would be on the low end in terms of capital efficiency. Because basically what you're doing for folks that might not know is that when you deposit into an AMM like Orca or Uniswap or SushiSwap or any AMM, you're providing liquidity. You're essentially saying, I will provide liquidity for this pair from the price of 0 to infinity. And what you do when you place a range order, for example, if you're on MSOL is probably one of the good options here. So something that's a stable swap, you could provide liquidity for MSOL between, let's say, $180 and $190. So now that 100 grand that you might have been putting into this pool is pushed within that price range. So now you earn the fees in that price range at a much higher rate, given that you have a lot more capital in that range. And the users that are trading it get much better rates, given that there's a lot more liquidity for the prices that you want to trade.
That's really interesting. So DeFi 4.0 soon then.
Yeah, it is. I think it is hard to overstate in some ways how much of a change concentrated liquidity affects a DeFi, like just the DeFi space and our DEX. the changes, the increase in efficiency are really quite remarkable. I would like to clarify, by the way, my answer there to Blue Zenith. When I said, will, in short, yes, that was to the, will the whirlpools address this? And regarding, Orca being the best option to route trades through. It is not, in short, yes. Do you think aggregators like Jupiter are hurting Orca? We don't think of, we don't think of ourselves as like in a fight with aggregators or anything like that. Ultimately, we are simply trying to facilitate the best place to execute trades, and as capital efficiency becomes exponentially better through concentrated liquidity, then hopefully we shall be the place to execute your trades on Solana.
Yeah, my comment to that actually when it comes to aggregators and DEXs, and this is just my my personal view. This seems like aggregators and DEXers are playing in the same team in the end and kind of helping each other. So that's my take on it. It was a great question.
Yep.
So we have another question. Drop the link there in the chat, and this is from Kichio, one of our Somimiliers, and the question is as follows: do you guys think it would be interesting to introduce UST as stablecoin? Could it be interesting to attract liquidity from coming Terra ecosystem that is growing really fast? And we did in the Marinade chat yesterday or the day before have a quite interesting discussion about Terra and Luna. So I'm intrigued to hear your take on this myself.
Very good question again. Milan, take it away.
Yeah, the short answer is yes. I think that Solana and Luna have a lot of collaboration together in terms of kind of projects and the folks working on it. So I think that a lot of liquidity will pretty much be bridged between each of them, and definitely on our plan to be supporting UST as well as more assets from other chains. Yeah, and probably pretty quickly. So within the next month or two, you'll definitely see a lot more assets that are bridged and different versions of wrapped assets.
That's really cool. And connected to that, I saw yesterday and today. It seems like a lot of the Ethereum community and the Solana community has dropped like the axe and is trying to be friends now and collaborate instead, which would probably be interesting for any product on Solana to create a bridge to Ethereum and cooperate in that sense. So that's really good news, actually, in my opinion. I don't think it's going to be just one blockchain or one network. We're all going to live and collaborate and have fun together in a way. Awesome news, man.
Yep. But I think Solana will be one of the best ones.
Yeah, I think so too. But that doesn't mean that Ethereum or any other blockchain, in my opinion, are bad or don't deserve any market share, in my opinion. So we can move forward to question number 5. With that said, just scared about talking about Ethereum. I don't want to get hate. So, and this is from Copycat, also one of our newest team members in Marinade. Short story here for everybody who's listening. This is kind of how we roll, connected to also how Nautilus or Boas got involved with Orca and how I myself got involved with Marinade. Get involved in the community, you get involved in the DAO, and then you can, show that you're contributing, and in the end, you become a chef. So congrats, Copycat, for getting that chef status. And the question is as follows, and this is just to take away all the serious talks here. And what's your go place to enjoy the ocean? Whether it's just chilling at the beach or do you just go out diving and surfing? Like, how do you guys enjoy the ocean, guys?
Well, first off, Copycat, congratulations. It is great to hear that story there from Seb regarding Copycat's ascension to chefdom. I'm from Scotland, so I'm probably the worst person to ask. It is absolutely freezing over here. However, I have been once to Mauritius in the Indian Ocean, and it was very nice indeed. The water there was very warm and very pleasant. So that would be mine. Milan, how about you? Where's your go-to place for the ocean?
Less on the ocean, more in the rivers. Like I like kayaking and whitewater rafting, those kind of things.
A river guy, I see. A river alligator. Cool. And here is another question I actually missed out on. I'm going to quickly share the link here. this is an important aspect, in my opinion, coming from the iGaming background, and this is related to mobile. So the question is as follows: when do you see mobile accessibility for DeFi, especially on Solana? And I suppose, like, I can rephrase the question to when do you see, like, the DeFi space, including yourself, being more adapted to mobiles on Solana?
That's a good
for
question.
sure. So go for it.
Okay. I would say, in terms of mobile accessibility, some people are after an app, like they want to install an app on their phones, and so you'd have like the Orca app. That's not really where we would prefer things to go. So mobile accessibility is a very big priority, because ultimately so many people use crypto on their phones. However, we would look at it tackling it from the browser angle. So we have, if you take a look at our roadmap, we are always trying to make our UI like the best in the game, and mobile UI is a very big part of that, because a lot of our users do just do it on mobile. However, it wouldn't be through like a downloadable app from an app store. This would be via the browser. So mobile accessibility for DeFi is it's going to get bigger and bigger just across the board, just because everybody loves doing everything through their phones now, and it's not something that we're missing. It's definitely part of our roadmap going forward, to make sure that all of our users who want to access DeFi through Orca can do so very easily and very effectively through their phone.
Yep, and just to add 2 quick points to that. So 100% our engineers have worked really hard to make sure that the browser experience, but on mobile, is really good. So Orca does work on mobile through the browser, as Boaz was mentioning, and it works pretty well for pretty much everything that you'd want to do using Solid. I think the way this actually goes in the future is that essentially wallets like Phantom or Soulflare will come out with different mobile wallets, and those mobile wallets will interact with applications like either staking Marinade on Marinade.finance or on Orca through the browser. And then I think the second aspect of that is that all the wallets will eventually build out something similar to an aggregator functionality, so something like Jupiter Ag, and you can actually just swap within your mobile wallet using that swap functionality, and actually use the Orca liquidity. So we're working with wallets to make sure that Orca liquidity is basically integrated across the board.
That's great, because I personally see too little mobile support on Solana, or just in crypto in general. And the vast majority of the people in the world, they use their mobile. They don't sit in front of the computer when they deal with stuff. So that's really good. And also, I'm just going to ask you guys last question from me, but also a little bit from Milkman Yield Delivery, who just posted this question. So I'm going to include that. And the question is, what is the most difficult aspect in producing whirlpools? But I'm going to adjust this question to a question I always, well, not always, but the question I usually ask is, what is the most difficult aspect in developing a decentralized exchange?
I think this is the most difficult question that we've received this evening, just because when creating something like this, there are so many difficult aspects for that. Milan, is there anything that you can think of just straight off the top that would be the most? Because for me, there are so many options you could go for.
Yeah, I think just in terms of the original question, specifically in terms of making whirlpools, because I think overall the DEX experience has been built out and is very similar. I do think Orca's UI is unique, but the general structure and the way people thought through the problem of having usability for DEXs is a similar approach across the board. I think on the whirlpool side, essentially making concentrated liquidity really easy for all of our users to use. I think that's the biggest challenge. And I think Grace has worked really hard and come up with really good solutions to make that simple to use, kind of building out a tutorial flow that users can learn while getting educated themselves on what's happening. So I think simplifying something that's as complicated as concentrated liquidity into what you've come to expect from Orca is probably going to be one of the biggest challenges right now. But I think the solution is pretty good.
Boom, there we have it. Don't get stuck in the whirlpool for too long, man. Well, that personally from all of the updates coming from you guys, I think Whirlpools is the thing that I most look forward to. Hey, what did we say? Just DeFi 4.0, right? So
Yep.
I can imagine
And
it's difficult not to crack.
Yeah, and I think for Marinade users as well, it's probably one of the more impactful product updates that we can ship, because it'll be one of the only solutions on Solana where you can essentially have a lot more control over your LP position. And we already have a bunch of Marinade pools, and I think I'd love to hear a little bit if anyone has of what Marinade wants to see out of Orca, like what your community would like to know or would like to see us do with you guys.
Oh, that's an interesting question. I think that we'd have to bring that up to discussion in the Marinator chat for later, as we're reached 1 hour mark now. But I think there's plenty of ideas, and some of these ideas is already, I think, being discussed briefly in the Marinator chat. And for those of you listening, the Marinator chat is open for everybody to view, but only those who have the, I think so at least, and only those who have the Marinator role are being able to participate there. So I urge you to get the Marinator role, join the discussions, because that's where the chefs are listening in. There's a lot of things that has come out from these discussions as well and materialized. And regarding Orca's community and what Orca is doing, I also really recommend you guys to get involved with Orca and their community. There's a really nice vibe in their Discord. I mean, everybody knows how awesome their website is, so you can just imagine how awesome their community is as well. So get involved in their community too. And gentlemen, Milan and Boaz, I'm going to share all the questions here in a message. Boom. And now it's up to you guys to choose who's going to win the NFT. Which question was the best one?
I think on my side, I would have said Blue Zenith's question regarding aggregators. But Milan, I will defer to you.
No, these are all really, really good questions, but I do agree. That was a really good question from Blue Zenith.
Yeah, I believe was that question 4? I think it was.
It's question number 3, I believe.
3. Right.
I'm gonna just share the link to the message again, so it's clear. So, Blue Zenith, not only are you a sommelier, but you also, a good questionnaire as well. So, congrats, man. Just get in touch with me in DM after the AMA is over, Blue Zenith, and I'll assist you with your prize from Orca. And so, with that said, do you guys have any other things you want to add before we wrap this up?
Well, I must say, time really does fly when you're having a good time. This has been a very, very nice AMA. It has been, yes, been a great discussion. Thank you so much for having us, Seb, and indeed to all the marinators out there. It's great to do these things. If you are interested in what we're working on at Orca, do give us a follow on Twitter. It's just Orca_SO, and and indeed on our Medium. So if you just search for Orca on Medium, you'll find us there. Milan, any closing remarks you'd like to make?
No, thank you, Seb, for having us as well. I look forward to having you in our community at some point in the next week or two. I think that'll be really fun. And yeah, thanks everyone for listening. Appreciate it. If you have any suggestions in terms of how we can make Orca better, how we can work with Marinade more, or just want to come hang, definitely hop into Discord and come chat with us.
Thanks a lot, guys, for taking the time to come here and explain why Orca is special and what you guys are doing. I really appreciate the conversation we've had. And definitely look forward to talk with your community, maybe after Christmas or in the beginning of next year. So thanks again, guys. And for those who are listening, those marinators who are listening right now, you did partake in the lottery. You shared. There was a lot of Orca emojis there. So you guys just got to give me a couple of minutes, or maybe like a couple, well, at least like 15 minutes after the AMA here, so we can go through everything and do the like wheel of names. Spin that wheel and choose that winner. So I will conclude this AMA then. Thanks once again, Milan and Boaz, Orca, and thanks everybody who's listening in. And see you next time.
Thanks, guys. See you again.
Thank you, everyone.